friends, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Danny and today I need to check in on my yearly goals. I've decided to do quarterly updates or check-ins with you guys this year, and I did a quarter one update to just kind of talk to you guys about some overall stats, where I was on my yearly goals, make some adjustments if I changed my mind. And I wanted to do that again just to keep things at the forefront of my mind because, you know, we set goals and then sometimes we forget about them. Sometimes, you know, it's okay to adjust and change things, but I do want to make sure that I'm going back and evaluating, like, is this still what I want to be doing? Do I need to bring focus into certain areas? And I think that I do. So I have this video separated into, I'm going to give you guys overall stats. I'm going to go through some goals, some lists that I made at the very beginning of the year that I wanted to make sure I got through, some challenges that I wanted to get through. And then of course, looking forward, what I would like to change or what I would like to keep the same. In that quarter one check-in, I talked to you guys about the fact that I had read 42 books in total. Now in the second quarter, my total number of books read in 2025 is 80. So I've almost doubled it. And this isn't actually what I wanted. I wanted my reading to not necessarily slow down, but I wanted to focus more on larger reads. And so I thought this number was going to go down. I wouldn't have read as many books in the second quarter as I did in the first because I would be reading bigger books. And I don't think, knowing what's coming in this video, like a little later on when we talk about my goals, I don't think I accomplished that. So moving on to more stats, my average rating for all of the books I've read this year is a 3.978, and that's pretty close. I think it might be a little bit higher, just a smidge higher than the one in quarter one. So I am enjoying a lot of the books that I'm reading, which is good. I am not including in that average my DNFs though, which those have gone up, which we'll talk about. To give you guys just an overall vibes for like where my ratings sit, I do have 8 5-star books total. Only 6 of those are new reads though. I have 2 rereads that I still gave 5 stars. And then I have only increased 2 from my quarter one books because I had 4 5 stars in quarter one. So really I've only gained 2 in the last quarter. So I'd like to see that number, you know, increase a little bit. I'd like to see more 5 stars in my reading, but I do have 44 4 stars, and that's like 4-star range, so anywhere from 4 to 4.75, which I do like. Obviously that's why my average rating is so high, and so I'm not mad at the books that I'm picking up. I'm just a little sad that I haven't found more favorites this year. My average page count has gone up. So in that quarter one video, my average page count was 291 pages per book. And a lot of that was due to me reading shorter books for the Get a Clue Readathon and TBR-athon. Like, I had been focusing on some novellas and getting some shorter books read. And I wanted to see that increase because my year-long goal is to have an average page count of 400 pages per book. So, did I make any progress here? My new average page count per the second quarter is 332 pages per book. So I went up 40 pages, so I have made progress. I would have liked to have seen this closer to the 350 mark because then, you know, I'd only have 50 average pages to go prior to the end of the year, but that's okay. We can focus on some more chunky reads in the 6 months, or I guess 5 months to come. And then as far as DNFs go, in that quarter one video, I had DNF'd 11 books, I believe. And right now it's sitting at 30. So that's not been great. I'm not going to talk about the DNFs that I've had here because I will do a completely separate video for quarter two DNFs where I can talk through my feelings with you guys because I have some thoughts that I would like to share with you. So stay tuned for that. I am a little saddened by that. That would definitely lower my rating, my average rating. And I do think that that's why my average rating is higher than it has been in past years because I do think I've been more diligent about DNFing books that would probably be 3 stars or below. So, I mean, it's, you know, there's pros and cons. I don't like to be DNFing that many books, but I also would have hated had I finished all of them because most of them probably would have been duds for me. So You live, you learn. Moving on to my yearly goals that I made for 2025. Some of these are going to be really short and snappy, and others are going to take a little bit more time because I'm going to explain some of the books that I've read within these goals. The first one I'll talk about is my physical TBR goal. At the very beginning of the year, I set a goal to not have more than 20 books on my physical TBR by the end of 2025. I started the year, I think, with 23, if I remember correctly. Right now, I'm sitting at 29. So I'm still not it's still not a gigantic number, but it's almost 10 books more than I want to be on my physical TBR. So I really do want to make a push in the last 5 months of the year, since we're in July at this point. I want to make a push to read a lot of the books on my shelves. I do think that I might manipulate this goal to maybe not count against me if they're continuations of a series, because I have a couple of books that I've purchased where maybe the series has 5 books and I haven't read the last 2, and so if I haven't finished, the 4th book, I can't finish the 5th book. And so I'm not going to change it this year. My goal is still 20, but I think moving forward in 2026, when I make a series goal or a physical TBR goal, I might include some series caveats within that. I don't know what that looks like yet. If you guys have any ideas for me, let me know. But yeah, for now, my physical TBR is sitting at 29, and I would like it to be less. The next goal is going to be really short and snappy because I've literally made 0 progress since I talked to you guys, and that is my out of control, that's not normal yearly challenge that I was doing to get myself out of my comfort zone. Since the last time I talked to you guys, I had read 5 out of the 12 prompts that I wanted to get to by the end of the year, and I haven't read any other books that fit the prompts. So that's another one of my things that I want to make sure that I'm keeping at the top of my mind throughout the rest of the year, is to branch out a little bit in my reading tastes, and see if I can find some things that I love that I wouldn't have normally picked up. Another year-long challenge that I'm doing this year is the Our Fantasy Bingo, and I know that I have until April of 2026, so this isn't fitting along the 2025 goals, but I'm going to go ahead and throw it in here. So far, I have read books for 16 out of the 25 prompts, so I'm doing pretty well with this. I don't think I'll have any problem meeting the 25 by the end of the year. I do think next year, because of the fact that this was, I'm not going to say that it was easy for me, but I do think that it's easier for me to find books that randomly fit prompts if I don't do hard mode. I think next year I might challenge myself to do hard mode, or maybe that I have to get like 2 bingos using hard mode or something like that. But yeah, so far I'm happy with my progress. I'm not going to share those books with you guys because I'll do a video at the end of the year where I talk about all of my Our Fantasy Bingo books. The next goal that I want to talk to you guys about is my series goal. So as a series girly, as someone who absolutely loves diving into massive worlds and living there for a really long time, I have a problem. I read too many series, I get involved in too many series, and then I will forget to continue them. And that's been one of my goals the past couple of years, is just to make sure that I'm continuing the series that I'm already in the middle of before starting other ones. And my goal this year was to continue as many series as I start. So I could continue 3 or 4 books in the same series and those count, or I can continue with the new series that I'm starting. It doesn't matter as long as they're continuations. So far this year, I have started 13 new series that I would like to continue with, and I have continued 18 books within series. So far I'm good on that goal. I think that I'd like to see the series continuations be a little bit higher, because I know right now I'm definitely riding on, like in Get a Clue Readathon, I read the Every Heart's a Doorway. I can't remember what that series is titled, but I read like 5 of those books, and that's definitely carrying my average right now, or my number of series that I've continued with. So I would like to see that a little bit higher. I feel like right now I'm just treading water, but I'm still okay with my goal. The other goal relating to series was that I wanted to complete 10 series within the year. And so being that this is a quarter 2 check-in, I should be halfway if I'm looking good. And I'm at 5. I have completed 5 series. Since I talked to you guys last, I believe I've completed 3 more, because I think in my quarter 1 check-in I'd only completed 2. The 3 series that I have completed is, one of them is Murderbot, which I have actually purchased for my collection since then. So I got all of the mashups, so volume 1, 2, and 3, that has all the little novellas. The only thing I don't own for Murderbot is Network Effect, which is the actual novel-sized book, and so I need to buy that one. But I really loved the ending of this. The ending is my favorite book. Like, the system collapse is the last book in the series, and I absolutely loved it. I loved how it wrapped up and how it also connected back to the start, like the series roots. I thought it was very fun. So I'm glad that I finally got to the end of Murderbot, and now I can watch the show, because I haven't done that yet. So that needs to be on my end of year list as well, to actually sit down and watch the Murderbot series. The next series that I completed was Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. I did read Emily Wilde's Compendium of Lost Tales back in March or April, I can't remember, but that was my favorite in the series, was the ending. I rated that 5 stars. I did rate the first book a 5 stars. I think the middle book was a 4.5 for me, but the ending was absolutely phenomenal. I think that book was just meant for me. So I was really happy to kind of check that off my list, and then of course have my beautiful special editions for show, because that's been one of my favorite series this year. The last series that I have completed is The Cemetery of Amelot, which starts with The Witness for the Dead. I read Tomb of Dragons a couple of months ago now. I did purchase this for paperback, but it doesn't come out until next year, so I won't have the collection completed on my shelves just yet. But I loved the ending of this. I think that my favorite in this series is actually the middle one, Grief of Stones. That one I rated 5 stars. I gave the Tomb of Dragons 4.75 stars. I love Thora Kelleher, our main character in this. I love the fantasy mystery bits. I love the world that is created within the Goblin Emperor that continues on into this. And luckily enough, the ending of this series does leave an opening for the author to potentially continue with some characters in this. I'm not going to say more, but I would be excited to see the author come back to this world, because I've absolutely loved it, and come back to Thora Kelleher, because I adore him and I would follow him anywhere. On to my 25 and 2025. So far I have read 13 of the 25 I want to read before the end of the year. I already talked to you guys about, I think, 7 of these, and so I'll just talk about the ones that I read in the second quarter. One of those was A Drop of Corruption, which is the second book in the Shadow of the Leviathan series. The Tainted Cup was the first book by Robert Jackson Bennett. I rated A Drop of Corruption a 4.5 stars. I can't wait for the 3rd edition. Whenever that will come out, I will be purchasing it. It will join the other 2 on my shelves, because I've just absolutely love this fantasy mystery series. If you guys haven't heard of The Tainted Cup, but you like fantasies or mysteries and you want a mashup of the 2, it's a Sherlock Holmes and Watson retelling, reimagining, because they're not Sherlock Holmes and Watson, but they're similar characters, and they are in a fantasy world where these monsters come out of the sea and destroy entire towns. And so they've built these like seawalls, think like Pacific Rim, if you guys have ever seen that. They built these seawalls to keep them out, and one of the engineers in the very first book, The Tainted Cup, gets murdered by way of flora and fauna, and Din and Anna have to come in and try and figure out who killed this engineer who helped in building the seawalls. It's so much bigger than that, and the magic system, the science behind the flora and fauna, and figuring out how the world is built, and it's so rich. I really love this series. Next, I read At the Bottom of the Garden. This was another new release. So in my 25 and 2025, I have like groups of books, themes of books, and so Drop of Corruption was in my new releases theme, and then At the Bottom of the Garden also was. This was a horror book that was written by Camilla Bruce, who wrote You Let Me In, which is one of my favorite horror novels, and I haven't been able to find another Camilla Bruce that I love quite so much. At the Bottom of the Garden I rated a 3.75 star. It was okay. It was fun. It was fast paced. I read this with Julie over at Keep Calm with Books and Coffee, and we did have fun. It's about two young girls whose parents die and they end up getting taken by their aunt, and their aunt has some kind of nefarious things going on. The girls have some mysterious powers that end up letting them communicate with the dead, and they find out what those nefarious things from their aunt are. It's fun. It wasn't like a horrible book by any means. I enjoyed my time, but it's not going to be a favorite, and I don't remember a ton about what we read, and so it definitely wasn't memorable for me. The next little category of my 25 and 2025 were backlist books, and one of those is Throne of Jade. This was the second book in the Tamriel series, which I am slowly collecting for my shelves. You're following a dragon and his handler in the English and France War, where England, so our dragon Tamriel ends up getting taken by the English before he's even born, and Lawrence, the ship captain that ends up taking this dragon egg on, has to become Tamriel's handler without really having any training in which to do so. And they are in the English army trying to help England with this war with France. And Throne of Jade just continues their relationship. They're working with the military, and I love this series. It's so cozy and cute, and I love the relationship between Lawrence and Tamriel. I can't wait to continue the series. Ooh, I don't really want to tell you guys this. The next backlist book that I read was Written in Red, and none of you probably know that I even touched it because I didn't document it anywhere. I don't even know if I've put this on Goodreads yet. I tried this during June. I just needed a book that I could focus on that wasn't part of the readathon, that I could read like slowly throughout the month. And I got 30% into this and decided to DNF. I do think I enjoy Anne Bishop's writing. It was very fast-paced, very quick. I enjoyed the characters. What I didn't enjoy was the magic system in this particular series. It has to do with blood, and the main character is essentially a seer, and in order to see the future, she has to cut herself. And I was just very uncomfortable with the depictions regarding that magic system, and so I made the decision for myself not to continue. I am not by any means saying that it's a bad book. I think for my own personal comfort level, I didn't want to see that magic system depicted any more than I got within the first 30%, which is kind of a bummer because I was enjoying the world that they created with this like werewolf sanctuary thing that humans weren't allowed in. Like, I liked the politics involved, but the magic system just made me really uncomfortable, and so I decided to not move forward with this one. The last kind of subcategory of 25 and 2025 that I made a dent in this year was finishing a series, and I've already talked about this. It's Murderbot. So I did finish System Collapse, rated it a 4.75 star. I was really, really happy with the ending of that. I need to make more progress on finishing series on my 2025 and 2025. I still need to finish The Divine Cities, which is by Robert Jackson Bennett. I still need to finish Faithbreaker, which finishes up the Godkiller series. The Codex Alera series, I still have 2 books. Rhaegar Chronicles, I still have 3 books. I don't know if I'm going to meet that goal as far as my 25 and 2025, but I'll try. So I still have quite a ways to go with my list, but I'm not feeling like too distraught at my progress so far. Moving in to the last little tidbit that I have for you guys in this video, which is what do I see moving forward? What would I like to change? What things would I like to focus on? And I think the biggest thing I want to focus on is my chunkier reads, which I said in my quarter 1 video that I was going to focus on chunky reads. I had a whole list of bigger books that I wanted to get to, and I haven't touched any of them. So I'm not going to give you guys an updated list for chunky reads because that list still stands. I do have others on my list that I have added to it. Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil, Danni.Dabbles by Joe Abercrombie. Like, I have other chunkier reads that I am going to get to on top of the list that I made in quarter 1, but I need to focus on that list in quarter 1 first. I would like to get back to doing my chunky check-ins. I haven't done one since before 2025, I'm pretty sure. And so I'd like to get back to that. I did have a lot of chonky books in Battle of the Booktubers, and so it's not that I haven't been reading chonky books, it's that I haven't been able to talk to you about them because they were for a secret project. So now that we are in the middle of Battle of the Booktubers, you guys are gonna get all of those reads and hear me talk about them. I can now start to kind of free up my TBR to pick up larger books, so I can scream them, you know, from the top of the rooftops that other people should pick them up, even though they're larger and might be intimidating. There's some amazing chunky reads out there that I can't wait to get to. Another series on my channel that I would like to get back to is my fantasy genre blends. It's kind of taken a back seat as well, and I would like to see that come back. There are a couple of books that I'm still waiting to get to from my previous list, and so I haven't decided whether or not I'm gonna just completely scrap the previous list and just tell you guys what I've been reading as far as genre blends goes and create a new list and go from there. I don't know what I'm gonna do just yet, but I look forward to doing one of those videos again. Also, I've already talked about this a little bit in this video, but I want to focus on my physical TBR. So I do think that in the future, I'm gonna be doing some physical TBR vlogs where I just focus on the books that I have here and talking to you guys about getting through those. I don't know if I wanna do an only physical TBR vlog, or whenever I do a theme vlog that I wanna force myself to pick a physical TBR book. So I have one physical TBR book along with some library books. I don't mind doing that either, so I don't know. But I look forward to figuring that out so I can get my physical TBR down to at least, you know, 20 or less books by the end of the year. Another type of themed vlog that I have considered doing is series continuations. It's hard to do vlogs on series because obviously if I'm in the middle of a series or if I'm at the end of a series, I can't share certain things with you all just in case you want to read the series. And so I want to incorporate that somehow into my videos, but not make it the overall theme because I want you guys to be able to talk about books with me, and I want to share the details that I can with you guys without spoiling anything. So I need to come up with a way of incorporating my continuations of series into videos more often. That way I can continue to meet that goal, because right now I'm not doing bad by any means with my series continuations and finishing series, but I still want to make that one of my pushes in the last 5 months of the year. And lastly, I do really need to focus on picking up authors that I have read from in the past. I want to look at this. I didn't get a chance to do this before this video, and I should have, is I would like to look at my spreadsheet and see how many authors I have read this year that are brand new to me and how many of them I'm revisiting. Because the authors that I put on my 25 and 2025, I've only read 2 out of the 5 that I said I wanted to get to. I haven't read anything by Joe Abercrombie this year, although I am going to read The Devils coming up. I haven't read anything from Robin Hobb, and I would like to. And then I also said either Agatha Christie or Shirley Jackson. I don't really care which. And I haven't picked up any of their works either. So I'm not doing great about connecting back with authors that I've loved, at least in the ones that I have noted. I do think that Adrian Tchaikovsky is one, which he was on that list. I've read a couple of books by him, and so I think I'm like fixating on a couple of authors instead of giving all of the authors a broader look and picking, multiple authors, not just 1 or 2 that I'm focusing on. So those are things that I'd like to focus on moving forward in the latter half of the year. So far, I am happy with my progress. I don't think that I want to change any of my goals or move away from any of the goals that I made at the beginning of the year. Like I said, with my physical TBR, I do think I might, in the new year, make a little bit of a caveat for the continuations of series being on my physical TBR. But other than that, I think I'm pretty happy with what I have right now. I might give myself a little grace on the average page count, because I don't know that I'm going to meet the 400 page mark, but I want to leave it just to see what I can achieve. So I'm not going to be mad if I don't meet it, but it is what it is. Do you guys have any yearly goals that you have been checking in on? How are you doing? Are there any things that you would like to improve upon in the latter half of the year? Anything that you think that you've done really well with? I would love to hear about all of your goals in the comments down below. If you're not feeling chatty, but you still want to let me know that you're here, leave me a little checklist emoji so I know that you are checking off those goals. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you have a lovely evening, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!